Good morning, sirs. Good morning, Maz. Thank you so much, Pastor, for giving me this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. So please, I have a very short time and I need you to please respond positively. I'm going to run quickly, almost at the speed of light, but there will be so much you can learn. Thankfully, you'll be able to get the recording. First of all, one of the things we must understand is that emotional intelligence that we shout in the corporate world, as I told my people, is simply fruit of the Spirit from the scripture. Look at emotional intelligence. Everything you call emotional intelligence is rooted in the word fruit of the Spirit. You have fruit of the Spirit, you have joy, you have peace, you have patience, you have long suffering. Everything covers emotional. What is emotional intelligence? Self-awareness, understanding the emotion of the other person, understanding. If you have joy, if you have patience, you can be relating with other people effortlessly. So emotional intelligence is an adopted word, is a stolen word from the scripture. So those of us who own the world go to the corporate world to pay them so much to teach them what is in our word. So everything they say to you in emotional intelligence, native intelligence, everything is rooted in one word in scripture, fruit of the Spirit. So quickly, I'll rush through the A to Z of managing people. There are quite a number of things I can't say because of the time that has been compressed. So the first thing is, what's going on? No, my slide this should work. Did you remove it? No, it doesn't matter where it is. So the first word is alignment. Everybody say alignment. The thing about alignment is that when you look at people, sometimes we think it's difficult to work with certain people, but the only thing is that if you seek to understand them, you can align with them and all of you will start cooperating without any fights. If you understand how to align with somebody, the Yorubas have a saying that if you know this is this person's character, it's easier to work with the person. So alignment is one of the first keys to managing people. And so long as you align, you can manage people. There are different people that you will think are impossible to work with. But the simple key to working with them is to seek to understand them. You see, everybody has ego. How you learn to massage it is the key to relating successfully with that person. There is nobody that does not have ego. You want to get that Geo's attention, tell him you are planting 200 churches this year alone. And make it happen. See whether you will get his attention or not. There are so many other people like that. Alignment is the key to getting on the side of every other person. The second thing is boundaries. Say with me, boundaries. Everybody has boundary. There's a series we watch in our family, and a sibling, out of like 5 siblings, one of them, she doesn't like hugging anybody. She's the one who is prim and proper. She's the one who is emotional. She's the one who is mushy mushy. She can be so caring and everything, but you want to hug her. That's a boundary. But every other thing, she will go the extra length to get things done for you. Everybody has boundaries. So long as you don't cross the boundaries of all the people, you will not have issues with them. Someone like me, I remember sometimes when I go out for speakings, for trainings and stuff like that, once in a while I go with a few people, and there's this guy who went with me to one of my trainings, and he didn't understand that my own boundaries. Don't do eye service to me. Don't try to psych me. Don't be doing things so that you can try to win me. Look, just your natural self is what wins me over. But doing things to try and make sure that I'm seeing you, I'm getting your attention. So it was later one of my guys who knew me very well called and said, look, everything you are doing, he doesn't care about. In fact, you are irritating him. But boundaries, know this person, know what this person wants, know what he doesn't want. For example, anybody that works with me, no matter how close you are to me, one thing we can fight about is time management. If I tell you it's 10, it's 10. There is no church I have pastored before that we have ever been 10 minutes late after a service. Any. If I tell you it's 11 sharp, let heaven fall. We will close that service 11. And we will start 8 or whatever time we agree to start. So no boundaries for people. Then the other one is communication. Say with me, communication. Shout communication. Communication is not just talking because everybody can talk. Communication is how you say it, not what you say. How you are saying it is far more important than what you're saying. I told Pastor Mrs. Obaro, God bless you again for that message yesterday. I said, you have eaten a lot into my sermon. I wanted to say so many things, but I won't go there again because she did a fantastic job with that. So you notice that in marriage, a lot of the times, it's not what you said that was the problem. It's how it was said. So it's the same thing in church. Sometimes you will say something, the person knows that he did something wrong, and you're trying to correct him. But it's not really the correction that is the problem, it's how you try to correct the person. Sometimes it's the fact that you corrected them publicly, it's not the fact that you corrected them at all. So if you want to correct, you correct in love. If you want to correct, you sometimes call people privately and correct them, or share a note with them, send them something. Don't correct them. You see, imagine somebody correcting me in the front of 100 people. Some people have developed a thick skin that it doesn't matter how many people are watching. If you correct them, they don't care. But some other people correct them in front of 2 other people. You've created a problem. So it's sometimes not what you are saying, but how you're saying. In journalism, we have what they call the 5 W's and H. How, where, what, why, when. All of those things will determine how well you do anything in life. So how you're saying it, not what is far. Even when you're preaching, how you preach is far more important than what you are preaching. Because it is how you preach it that determines how it is received. Not what, so you can be so loaded, but you are delivering it the wrong way. So when we're preaching utterance, utterance is communication. You look at the congregation, you want to tell them, you people don't dress well. You don't come to the altar and tell them, you people don't dress well. Particularly, you are streaming stuff. People are watching. Somebody who is deciding whether to come to your church has seen that they don't dress well. And maybe the person's intention is, let me join this church so that I can catch my own bobo, or I can catch my own babe. And you said they don't dress well in your church. The guy online caught it. So your church is automatically a no-no. How you communicate it is very important. You know one thing about the Britons? They will insult you and you'll be smiling. They insult politely. In fact, you would have walked like a meter before you... Wait, this guy was actually insulting me. So that's one thing that we should pay attention to. The other thing is delegation. Delegation is one of the strategies for that retention that Pastor Igbola was talking about yesterday. When you see some people, one of the things you must do is to give them something that commits them. There are some people who are naturally forward-coming. Some people will naturally not bring themselves forward. But you look at them, you ask them, what can you do? Which unit can you function in? I see this. Oh, I saw what you're doing. Is this something you can do for us? Some people will be planning to leave, but the moment you give them a responsibility, that is the end of that decision. They stay in your church. Don't think that you are the Alpha and the Omega and you are the only one that can do everything. Whatever it is that you think you are you are not in church, for example, today, and that church is running one way or the other. So delegate. They will make mistakes, correct them in love. They will make mistakes, they will grow. You didn't get here overnight. You didn't appear into this status that you are in today. You came into it. So delegate and don't be afraid. If they make mistakes, encourage them. There was a story of a woman who was taken to meet the Queen of England, very prim and proper setting, a royal dinner or a royal breakfast. And the husband realized that his wife is not touche, not educated, not uncouth. That's the word. And when they got there, instead of using the cutlery, she just dipped her hand into something that she was supposed to use cutlery for. As soon as the husband saw that, the husband just ditched the cutlery and aligned with her by dipping his hand into it as well. And let them call us both local. Not my wife alone, local. So delegate, let them make their mistakes and correct them in love. You realize that they will improve over time. Empathy. Empathy is very important. One day I was a student on campus. I was already a pastor on campus and we were late for fellowship. You know how campus fellowships can be. Sometimes some of the campus fellowship pastors are tougher than the pastors you meet outside. So our timing was 7 a.m. You can't miss it. No, let fire and brimstone fall. You must be there for 7 a.m. So I was rushing to church. It was raining. I was drenched in rain, thinking my pastor was going to scold me. When I got to the door, he brought out his face towel and gave it to me to wipe my face. What do you think he would say to me tomorrow that I will not show up again? I was expecting to be scolded because I was running late. It was drizzling. I was running in the rain to catch up with the service. Yet he brought out his napkin, never said a word, gave it to me to wipe my face. Empathy is far more important. And just like Pastor said yesterday, sometimes you don't need to give people money. It's open up to them, talk to them, have a conversation. You see, empathy is not money. That's why, again, they say in the Southwest that the caring is much more than money. So it's very important to empathize with people. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. Pastors should never say things on stage like, I don't care. That's none of my business. How is that my fault? How is that my own? It shows that you don't care really. So you empathize. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So sorry to hear that. Even if there's something hot that you wanted to say, the moment somebody expresses something of sadness, feels bad or something like that, you shut it down. Empathize for that moment. You can have that conversation later, but not that moment. So it's important to always empathize. And we show this empathy. Let's show this empathy. You don't see people, ask about them. Ask about them. And you can automate your follow-up. I'll get to that point. Feedback. Ask people. One of the pastors that Pastor Ebola was talking about yesterday, I don't want to mention him, but I worked with him briefly as well. One thing that he does after his sermon, we get into the car, he's constantly asking, how did I do? What did you notice? What do you think? How did it go? All through that journey to the next destination, he's talking about that particular thing. He's interested in feedback. What are we doing right? What are we not doing right? What can we do differently? What should be done? Some people believe that whatever they say is correct, it cannot be corrected. Whatever they say is correct, it cannot be. Every other person's statement can be corrected. Every other person's action can be corrected, but not their own. You can't be that person. The only thing I also try to show our followers or our members is that I tell them, for example, if my hands are tied, I say, look, I like what you're saying, but my hands are tied. I understand perfectly what you're saying, but the system has a structure that I cannot deviate from. And because I can't deviate from the system or the structure of the system, that's why I can't do it. So what you're saying is really beautiful. And sometimes we need to say those things to them, not to derogate the system, but to let them know that we are listeners, but our hands are tied. What you're asking me to change is something that has to change from the top. If it can change from the top, immediately I'll be the first person to execute it. But if I cannot change from the top, there's nothing I can do. Goal setting. Have goals. Growth goals. For the people that you are leading. People shouldn't be working with you, going with you, and they are not growing. People cannot see in their lives that there's a difference. A brother joined one of our churches. This was when I was even pastoring in Ikorodu. This was a guy that was laid back and stuff like that. When I came to Ogba and I needed more hands and stuff like that, do you know that the person that was laid back in Ikorodu started coming to church in Ogba all the way from Ikorodu and would not come late? And the mother was running, what's going on? Their personal growth, their spiritual growth, their progress growth, you must have a goal for that. It was a time as well, one AP Mrs., a very senior pastor in the, LP 33, was asking, Pastor Fola, what's happening? It looks like all the girls in your church are getting married. Maybe we should send all the single sisters that are waiting to your church. People came and we just realized that we're preaching, we're encouraging, we're praying. So a particular sister, if they didn't tell you she was 47, she didn't look it, and she had never been married. All the brothers in the church, they shut their eyes. All the brothers around shut their eyes. God brought the husband from London. So be interested in the growth of people. And the people who have pastored us as well have realized that one thing that makes me connected or feel connected to them is that one of my pastors will ask, Fola, how are you? I say, I'm fine. So I say, no, I'm not asking you for the regular answer. I mean, really, how are you? How are things with you? Business, is business coming in? Are you getting regular deals? That place that you went to, I hope you drove down there. I hope you didn't go there with I hope you didn't go on a bike. Those are the kind of things I want to hear, man. Oh my boy, Alpha, can I share now? This is my pastor who is over 60 talking to me as if he's talking to his mate. So let's have that goal. Human resources. People can do much more than you can imagine. Much more than you can imagine. If you don't ask what they can do, you never know what they can do. If you don't ask what they can do, you never know. Ask. Oh, please, I genuinely need anyone who can help us with this. What can you do? And stuff like that. So ask them questions from time to time to know what they can do. I've been signaled to my time is going up. Inclusivity. Inclusivity, make sure it's not only just a few people that have been engaged in your church. Try and engage everybody. Unconsciously, we still have the tribal bias in Nigeria, and it's a regular thing. It's an intentional effort to get out of it. You go to a church pastored by a Yoruba man, you'll find all Yoruba people. You go to a church pastored by an Igbo man, you'll find all Igbo people. If you're not careful, you'll be a limited pastor because you won't be able to function abroad. You can't pastor a multiracial church. So you go abroad, you just realize that you're a black man, all members of your church are black people. Why are people like Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo succeeding? Inclusivity is a multiracial church. Joel Austin, the pastor referred to, is a multiracial church. TD Jakes, a multiracial church. So if they are pastoring a multiracial church, how can we not even pastor an intertribal church in Nigeria? You talk in Nigeria, and it's as if every other person that doesn't understand your language should go to wherever they can go to. What are you doing here? You shouldn't have that. Inclusivity is very, very important. And it's been emphasized yesterday. Language, don't sing too many Yoruba songs. I can tell you one of those churches that we're making references to, they have a strategy. For example, in fact, their church service is called production. They have all the songs outlined before the service starts. They have a sheet. Nothing just happens. When the pastor gets on stage, there's a color of light that comes on. When he steps down stage, there's a color of light that must shut down for the choir to come on stage. There's another color of light. They simulate the rehearsed service. It's a production. So inclusivity, make sure everybody is involved. Job satisfaction. When they have done something, tell them you have done well. Don't criticize first. Use the sandwich approach. Oh, really? You did well. In fact, that was fantastic. But in this area, Mama Sorobe, and they don't talk like that. You don't use all your mouth to talk. Then, knowledge sharing. If you know something, share with your congregation. I know people who have gotten jobs in our church just because I shared some information with them. Whatever you know, if you know me, you know that anything I know, I'm ready to share. In fact, if I should bill people for all the things I share freely, I should be a multi-billionaire. But I know something, I share freely. I don't care who gets gain. More importantly, because I know that if I share with you today, you're not coming back to me tomorrow. So you've relieved me. So share with them. Then, leadership. Let's not have that attitude that some elders have. They say, the thing that the elders use to eat eko is under the leaf. Don't have that strategy. That's why many of us cannot multiply ourselves. We have to be in different places for things to work. Then, leadership, show empathy. For example, don't be the person to tell people come at 10 and you're coming at 10:30. If I tell you come at 10, be sure that I'm there at 9:30. If I tell you 10, be sure it is 10. And guess what? I drag my family along. So it's not just me they see in church. They see me with my wife, with my children at any given time. No matter how early it is, we stay in camp, we pastor in Ogba. I get to my church 7 a.m., 7:30, or any other time. We open church when we get to Ogba. People in Ogba are still looking for water to bathe. We came all the way from camp and we get to church before them. So if I tell you 10 is 10, and if I tell you 11 is 11, if you get on stage, you start making all sorts of announcements that nobody sent you. I start saying, I didn't send you that. Motivation, motivate people. I got to church, I realized one of our people didn't have a phone. It was not that I had a lot of money. I took one phone that was lying down, paid for it, fixed it. It looked like brand new, it was working well. I gave it to the brother, I said, take, you can have it. Next Sunday, he was the first person to arrive in church. And it's not there are quite a number of others. There are some things, sometimes my wife will just look at, Baba, things that I can give anything. Like, what is this thing? This thing will come back. They are material things. But the impression you leave in the lives, in the hearts of those people, it is indelible. It is forever. I think negotiation. So ask. Don't be fixated that this is the way it must be done. Sometimes compromise, particularly if it has nothing to do with the doctrine of the church. If it's just your own style, be flexible. Organizational culture. Let them see that you yourself, you are an organized person. Let us see that you demonstrate it. Let them see that you are leading in terms of what you are demanding. If you are not leading in terms of what you are demanding, don't expect a miracle. Performance. Be the one to show. Be the one to show. You are not the only one who can do it, but be the one to show. Then give other people platforms. Give them platforms. Nothing engages and commits people much more than platforms. They say, look, for example, you know how Pastor Sam Adeyemi said he grew his leaders? He said that he realized that when he was not preaching, people didn't want to listen. So what he now did was that he would tell his subordinates or his associates, go and preach. He will now sit down and be taking notes while they are preaching. And they will look, if Pastor Sam is taking notes, then this guy must be preaching real good, man. And then when they are preaching, he will, thumbs up, yeah, you did well. He gets on stage, he doesn't condemn them. So, please, quality of work life. Please, I can't go too much into details, but just make sure that don't place too much demand on people, so much so that they don't have a life of their own. People will run away. They will call you a user. They will call you all sort of names. Make sure that you are also interested in their personal lives beyond what they do for you in church. Recognition. When they do something, they do it very well, give them a thumbs up. Don't be the person that, keeps quiet. The last one was quality of life. Did you get that, sir? Then recognition. Anybody does anything, they do it well, give them a thumbs up. Don't wait till they have made a mistake, you criticize. They do it well, you don't appreciate, but you always criticize. Then speak right. How you speak on stage is very important. If you have to pay attention, listen, go and download dictionary, the British dictionary. It's on your mobile app. Check words that you can pronounce correctly. For example, I'm a trained communicator. I studied mass communication, but I went all the way to also train myself. You come on stage and you start mispronouncing words. It's called noise in communication. Because the moment you mispronounce or you butcher, as we say, butcher those words, it distracts me. Before I catch up again, you said so many important things that I missed out. And you are talking to youths. And the youths are not nice. You say it anyhow, they can even laugh at you right there and then. You just see them bowing their heads. You think they are praying. He's not praying. He's not meditating. Pastor, you have said something that didn't sound, you didn't hit the right chord. So make sure you pay attention to that. Then trust, please, earn trust. Don't demand trust, earn trust. Say with me, don't demand trust, earn trust. Of course, you earn trust by leadership. You earn trust by empathy as well. And finally, understanding. Show understanding. Don't say, this thing, I don't care how you do it, it must be done anyhow. You know that you see somebody that has children. The person shows up in church with children. Why are you just coming? And you see the person coming with children on Okada. As a pastor, you are driving home in your own nice car with AC. You can't even pick any of your members. You drive past them. And you want them to show up in church next Sunday. No, show understanding. Then, of course, we know it's a regular thing in Redeem. You must always give to members. They don't have, give to them. Don't abuse them because of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, depending on whatever it is that God show. Then let them see that you have values. Let them see that you have values. That's how you also have to be careful how you talk. Don't talk anyhow that you'll be telling or you'll be communicating indirectly to your congregation that whatever you do goes. And at the end justifies the means. Don't communicate in such a way that it remotely depicts that whatever you do is okay. Some churches, some preachers, some pastors indirectly communicate to them, and it's okay to have sex. We understand. We're in difficult times. Don't ever communicate such. Some of us went through it. And like Pastor Mrs. was saying, we had to be, for the first few weeks, we didn't even know what we were doing when we got married. We had to be figuring out how is this thing done, because it was two notices coming together. So don't come on stage and communicate to them. It's okay. Do it anyhow. God understands. You can have sex. You can do, because pastor himself is having sex and still preaching. Let's be careful. Let's communicate values. Then work-life balance. Don't look for every opportunity in their life and be blocking it. Oh yeah, meet me in church. Oh yeah, do this. And they are not getting commensurate value either by their lives transforming or by you rewarding the efforts. It's either they are seeing value or you are rewarding the effort. And expectations. Find out what their expectations are. Don't just tell them your own expectations. What are their own expectations as well? And yield, that is, shift grounds. You are not a tree. Shift grounds. And you can't be always right. Or you can't be the only right person. If you are the only right person, you are in the wrong place. If you are the only right person, there's no reason for you to be in that place. You can't be the only right person. And finally, zeal. Show zeal. Show zeal. In fact, sometimes, honestly, and I'm not berating them, sometimes I preach to the point where I think that I'm saying too much for that congregation. I preach to a point I think that I'm saying something above their heads. Not necessarily to berate them, but I can feel that they didn't get what I just said. So I try to simplify it and stay within but show zeal. Whatever it is that you do, show zeal. Don't let anybody have to propel you. Don't wait till you are motivated by money, recognition, position. Everything I do, I was sharing with somebody yesterday, everything I do is about zeal. It's not about money. Maybe I'm not a multimillionaire yet, but show zeal. And finally, these ones, I can't go into this. I believe that the little I've shared, have I made sense so far? You enjoyed something? Thank you. God bless you.
Hallelujah.